This is the brief on retiring to a full-time ocean adventure. We're diving right into the incredibly inspiring story of two professionals who traded traditional land-based routines for life on the water, showing us exactly why leaving the familiar path behind really matters. First, let's talk practical reality, because this isn't just an occasional vacation, it's their everyday life, living full-time on a double-hulled catamaran. They handle absolutely everything, from grocery runs and workouts to navigating medical concerns, all while facing intense dangers like unpredictable weather and massive ocean barges. It's literally like running a household, a utility company, and an extreme survival camp all at once. Second, surviving this floating island takes ultimate partnership. They rely on absolute patience, a ton of humor, and a super clear division of roles drawn from their past careers, with Karen as a retired police sergeant and Steve as an engineer. Which makes you wonder, how do you maintain your marital sanity when your spouse is also your co-captain in a high-stakes, life-or-death weather situation? Finally, their reinvention completely proves that retirement doesn't mean slowing down. It means waking up. Every single day they consciously choose movement, continuous learning, and freedom over the comfort of the known. But honestly, is the ultimate freedom of the open ocean actually way more demanding and restrictive than a traditional 9-to-5 job? Ultimately, their journey proves that adventure doesn't have an expiration date if you just have the courage to say yes. Welcome back to the Nomads and Nimble Shadow podcast with our guests Karen and Steve, who are joining us from an island in Greece.
I love it.
So
That's perfect.
we wanted to start with an introduction. Tell us a little bit about who you are and where you are, and then we'll go from there.
So I am Karen, and I worked with Sean and Kendra. I was raised on a small farm outside of the Bakersfield Hills up in the Tehachapi Mountains. Came to San Jose State for college because I was a judo girl, and did competitive judo through college, and then got hired by the police department where I spent my career. I retired, I think, about 6 years ago now, and I met Steve about 14 years ago or so. We're second marriage, so we have a blended family and 4 amazing kids. And we bought a boat 5 or 6 years ago, 6 years ago now, and we moved on board. Long journey. We started on bought the boat in Rhode Island. We started there. We went up to Maine and down to the Bahamas, back up to Virginia, down to the Bahamas again, through the Caribbean, over to St. Martin, Bermuda, across the Atlantic to the Azores, and have spent the last 3 years in Europe. And we are currently on some island in Greece. And we really don't know exactly where we are. We looked on a map, so I don't know the name of it.
A little dot on
But
the
it was a
map.
nice island to pull into.
A lot of White Houses. That's all we see.
Basically.
Yeah.
That's how you know you're in Greece,
I'm-
right?
Yeah, right. I'm Steve. As a previous life, I was a mechanical engineer, California native. Grew up in Cupertino, San Jose area, Silicon Valley before it was Silicon Valley, and like she said, Karen and I met on Match.com, and
Mhm.
yeah, I mean, I've been a mechanical engineer. I consider myself a tradesman, which
Uh-oh.
still there.
Yeah, we lost.
That was glitchy.
As soon as you
I can hear
started
you.
talking, I'm not sure if you have like magical magnetic powers or something, but as soon as you started talking, we lost almost everything. So
No, I got that they met on Match, mechanical engineer, right?
Yeah.
So we'll hopefully get a more stable
Okay.
connection.
So yeah, mechanical engineer. Yeah. Okay. So mechanical engineer, but wasn't that right out of the box? Considered Armageddon, growing up in the 80s, and have as electrical journeyman for a while and a diesel mechanic right out of high school. And so I'm very uniquely prepared to do this sailing gig. And here we
Yeah.
are, 5 years into it, and I'm like a kid in a candy store.
It's true.
That's so awesome. That's such a like, it's such a I don't know, like a big adventure. Like it seems so out of reach to live the lifestyle you guys are living. It seems just so,
Mm.
it seems so fantastical, you know, like you see movies about it, but you don't know anybody who's doing it. But we know you guys. Yeah.
For
Um,
sure.
so was it did you make the decision to live this
Mm.
lifestyle in retirement like in a snap? Was it a gradual thing after a while? Were you always intending to retire full time this way? And is it indefinite?
So before we met, and actually before I started work, I did the whole backpack around the world thing. So I knew I did it solo before I started my career. And after about a year, I was homesick. I knew I wanted to travel the world, but I couldn't figure out how to balance, not having my home with me and always being in unfamiliar places and not having some place to set the roots down. And when I met Steve, we both wanted to travel and we talked about that. And then he suggested sailing. I Where I grew up, we had a small lake and we had a small sailboat. And I sailed with my sister, and I absolutely hated it because all we ever did was capsize. And so I found sailing absolutely terrifying. And so when he said sailboat, I said, "Fuck no! Am I allowed to cuss? Am I allowed to cuss on
Yeah,
the
yeah,
podcast?" So, so I said, "Fuck no! Have you lost your mind?" So then he took me to a boat show, and there were these beautiful catamarans, and I'm like, "That is not a sailing boat. That is a house on the water."
Mhm.
And so for Christmas, we got ourselves sailing lessons and we joined a sailing club in Redwood City. We sailed there for a couple of years and then bumped up to San Francisco, Sausalito, joined another sailing club up there, kind of worked on skills and grew with different boats, started chartering boats down in Catalina, over in the British Virgin Islands, Tahiti, before we bought our own and, kind of decided that if we were going to crash and we would rather crash theirs than ours.
Mm.
So, and then we decided to give it a go. So it was a great way to see the world and bring our home with us at the same time and have the comforts that we wanted. And when we have, Mr. MacGyver over here who can fix everything, it was a good solution.
that's great.
That's amazing because we talk all the time about neither of us have those kind of mechanical skills for the Wanderbox.
Yep.
Like, what if we're in the middle of the Alaskan tundra and something goes wrong? But technology helps a lot, right?
For sure.
Yeah.
You can Zoom us.
It,
You can
it,
Zoom
yeah.
us and ask Steve.
Yeah.
No, I would say,
He can troubleshoot.
yeah. I mean, my background's really good. I didn't have marine background, but it's mechanical based. And so, it was really easy to migrate. But again, with Starlink,
Mhm.
I can just look up how to fix this and get so many,
Yeah.
easy videos, YouTube videos that definitely are going to put you on the right path. I think the only thing that I have up on me is that, I've dealt with these things before. So, you know, I don't have, I can decipher through some of the garbage on YouTube pretty quickly, but I
Yeah.
use it all the time. Absolutely.
All
Yeah.
the time.
Yeah, you guys have unique experiences and problems that most of the world does not. If we get a flat tire, there's always help.
AAA.
There's always help kind of nearby and how to fix that and how to work
Right.
that out. But you guys are in the middle of,
Yeah.
Yeah.
could be absolutely in the middle of nowhere. And that's the terror that would keep me up at night about what
Yep.
about this? What about that? You fall asleep in the fire station or at work and the police department, like, well, I haven't thought about that. What am I going to do with that? So that's the stuff that
Yeah.
kept me up. So luckily you guys can depend on each other. If she looked at me, if I took a couple sailing classes and then
Yeah.
she's like, okay, I trust you, let's do it. I'd be like, no, I need you to know some stuff too. I can't be dependent on just
That's a
me.
lot of
Well, I
So
will
yeah.
tell you,
Well, what?
those first 3 years, I'm not gonna lie, they were some
Oh,
serious shit shows, and there was a lot of stress. Those first 3 years, were rough. With anxiety and stress, and I mean, those first couple of years, we weren't sure that it was going to work. Because, like you said, you're out on the open water. We're traveling on the boat. The storms can be very violent and can be very chaotic. And learning how to work as a team really took a whole different level. It's very different than living at home together because now, living on the boat, we have to have the ability to communicate under stressful circumstances. I equate it very much to police work. Everything's fine, and then it's not. And when it's not, it's not. And it's on like Donkey Kong, and you're going. And you feel that adrenaline rush, and you have got to make it work between the two of you, and nobody's going to come save you. So you're very self-sufficient, and you have to be. We make our own water, we have our own electricity, we have our own solar. You must be self-sufficient.
Yeah, and I don't think you have to be an expert to start, but you have to be willing to learn on how to do these things, because you have to fix it yourself. And what we heard for this lifestyle is before, especially during COVID, right? Everyone was buying boats, and we had heard that it was about an 80% dropout of couples that take on a boat and sell within 2 years.
Yeah.
And we have seen that number is pretty true.
It is pretty true. Yeah.
And it's mainly a lot of like what you just said in terms of not wanting to take on all this stuff. I thought it was going to be a nice, sunsets and luxurious lifestyle, and it's not. It is that, absolutely, but there's a lot of work involved. And when you have to think of your house and all the utilities that you get that you don't even think about.
Right.
Where you have to think about every one of those on a boat.
Right.
And more.
And cruising on a boat's very different than just a boat, that you take out on the weekend, right? I mean, we're full-time liveaboards, cruising on our boat. It's very different than just a weekend boat, on the bay or something like that. Two completely different experiences.
Sure.
So
how long are you out to sea versus in some sort of bay, marina, port? What's the right terminology?
we rarely go to a marina. The only time we go to a marina is here in Europe. We did for the winter months because the weather is atrocious, and we wanted to go skiing, to be quite honest, and come home for the holidays. So we rarely go to a marina. We sometimes here in Europe go to a town quay, which is kind of fun, where you back into a wall. Like when we left this morning, we took town quays, but generally speaking, we anchor. And out to sea, once again, it depends. So our passages can be anywhere from a couple of hours to a couple of weeks. And generally speaking, 4 days, 5 days, 6 days, between Steve and I. And then after about 6 days, we need a break, because that's 24 hours around the clock, staying up and doing shifts. And so we really try and keep our passages to about 4 to 6 days with just the two of us, because it's long, it's tiring.
Yeah.
But the ratio is about, I mean, it really holds true. You're about 90% of the time at dock.
Anchor.
Or
Sure.
you're stationary, right? You're either anchored, or you're at a dock, or you're at a slip, or you're at a town quay or something like that. But 90% of the time, you're not moving the boat.
Okay.
Because you're having fun.
Yeah, you're just
Like,
living, right?
Yeah.
And then the 10% is when you're making moves.
Yeah.
Right. And that could be fractional days or multiple days or fractional weeks or whatever, right? It all depends on what you're doing. But
So when
easily 90% of the time we're not moving.
When you're anchoring somewhere or you're at a town quay, do you have to pay some sort of like fee for that, the privilege of being in that space?
Anchoring's free. Except,
most times.
Yeah, there's a couple places in the world where you have to pay for anchoring, but generally speaking, anchoring is free.
Croatia, as an example.
We paid twice.
Yeah, but we started early. There's strategies to it, right? But if during the peak of a season, like June, July, August in Croatia, you're paying like anywhere from 50 to 100 euros a night just to anchor.
But we didn't go there. We went early season.
And we paid zero,
that. Yeah,
right?
we paid zero. And the town quay that we just stayed at, there was a big storm. So that's why we were on the town quay. We stayed 6 days and we paid 60 euros, so about $75 for a week on the town quay, which was awesome.
Yeah.
So pretty decent.
And most times anchoring is free.
Yeah, most times
Absolutely.
anchoring is free. Yep.
And you don't have to get any kind of utilities or hookups because you guys are completely off the grid. So you're good with that. Like what you said, when you have to pay for a slip or whatever, like are they paying you, or are you paying for power? Like if you were to go to a KOA, are you paying for stuff from them?
Sometimes yes, sometimes no. It depends on the marina or the slip.
Yep.
So it varies. Yeah, it does vary.
Interesting.
And so, but generally, I mean, because we have our own water maker and our own solar, if it's going to be expensive or they charge us, we just use our own, generally speaking.
That's great. And the question I really wanted to ask, that I've always, as soon as she talked about this podcast, I was like, I got a question for them. Whenever I've been on a boat, which has been like 3 times in my entire life, it always is like, don't flush the following things because it goes right into the ocean.
Oh,
So,
yes.
if you guys are in a marina, are you literally just flushing right into the marina, or is there a
No.
hold?
No,
Okay.
there's holding tanks, just like you guys have. So we close the holding tanks.
And it's very uncool when you have sailors that are dumping their shit in the
Yeah.
marina.
Yeah, not cool.
That's what I thought. I
Not
was like,
cool.
that's why we can't swim or fish here, right?
Nasty.
People do it. I'm not going to say it doesn't happen, but it's very uncool.
Yes. So no, we close our holding tanks, and even here at Anchor, we close our holding tanks. So generally speaking, we pee on one side, we poo on the other, and we close the holding tank.
Yeah.
And when we go back out to sea, like tomorrow morning when we take off again, and we're generally speaking about 2 to 3 miles offshore, then we'll dump our poo out there.
Yeah.
You know, nobody really wants to swim in anybody's poo.
Yeah,
So
and that's true. The caveat is we do pee. The pee goes out into even at a marina or someplace like that, but not the poo.
yeah, not
Yeah.
the poo, not
Yeah.
the poo.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Thank you. I have
Yeah.
no more questions.
You're all done now.
Yours, that was easy.
So I want to know, how did your families and friends react when you said
Mm.
this was what you were going to do? Any naysayers? Any discouragers?
Oh, total naysayers, total discouragers. We're gonna die.
You effing crazy.
Yeah. Have you lost your mind? What are you doing? And
Especially our son, who's ultra conservative.
yeah, had a
right?
really tough time with it.
Mhm.
I think they've all adjusted now.
Since we haven't died.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah, but it was hard for them. I mean,
Yeah.
and especially remembering because we started without Starlink, so we didn't have that constant communication, and
Yeah.
so you know, it was hard, and they were definitely naysayers, and they were worried. And they were worried. They thought we were all going to die by pirate. You know, everybody thinks you're out here with pirates.
You're either going to die or
last thing I would
or
think
you're going
about.
to sink. Right.
Yeah.
I mean, the question I always get from my copper friends is, you know, how many guns do you have on board? We have 0.
Right.
Always.
And so,
Even for us.
yeah.
Like, are you
Yeah.
packing? No, I'm not packing.
Yeah.
We're in Canada. What are
No.
you talking about?
No.
Yes. I really feel like the more you travel, the less paranoid about people you become. I don't know. I
agree.
figure that out.
Yes.
Like, why we have so many cop friends that are, and actually we haven't really stayed in contact with most of the people we worked with. So when I say cop
Mhm,
friends, I really just mean colleagues, right? These are people I worked with,
Yes,
but they're not
yes.
people that take the time to stay in touch with me or vice versa. So it's what it is. But so many of them, when I was working, I was always struck by how often there was this paranoia about
For
traveling
sure.
places. Don't go to Mexico. Don't go to this place. Oh my God, aren't you
Right.
worried about
Yeah.
Right.
hell? Aren't you worried about, home invasions or whatever? And it's like, no,
Yeah.
I'm not. But
No.
people who never leave the country, so they're getting all of their information. I don't know where.
The
But
news.
I
yeah.
find it just the opposite, right? I find, I don't know if this is PC thing to say, but I find the United States a lot more troublesome to live than anywhere else.
Yeah.
Agreed.
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 Yeah. Yeah.
Agreed.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah. That was, I mean, I remember when we first started talking about this, I was talking about, how are we going to keep ourselves safe? And I had, the whole pirate thing in my mind too, until I really started getting into it. And I'm like, okay, this is absolutely nuts.
Yeah.
And I cannot tell you, I mean, one of your questions was was talking about fear and
Yeah.
fear of communities. And I thought, how many times have we actually felt
Yeah.
unsafe? Now, weather, always, often, okay, totally different. But from people, how many times have I had the heebie-jeebies? And I think there has been in 5 years, one time, which was on the East Coast in the United States, and we were fine, but it was, they were dealing dope and it was a little uncomfortable, but,
BVI.
and the British Virgin Islands, and that was they just wanted to steal from us.
Yeah,
But
they're just victories by. But that's where Karen's background really plays in, is that, I call it her radar. I go, what's your radar picking up? And if there's anything going down like that, then it's like, okay, then we're going to take extra precaution. But most time there's nothing going
Yep.
on.
Most
There's nothing but people being really helpful and
wonderful people. Yeah.
But
That are going to invite you
yeah,
into their
I mean,
home
we've been invited to
Oh my God.
local homes
for
at
dinner.
least 3 times already.
Oh, yeah.
Med.
Yeah, in the Med alone, and any other places too. Even on the East Coast, we've been, people in small anchorages would come by in their little boats, ask us if we needed anything. Do you want to borrow my car? I mean, I'm like, wow, I'll take your car. Sure.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Great.
Yeah,
I mean,
really cool. So
I think-
we don't live in fear.
I mean, I've always lived in that philosophy. I think 95%, 95 plus of the people on the planet are great people.
Yep.
Yep. Is there some evil people out there? Yeah, but it's low odds, pretty low. And
I think so too.
you do your due diligence. And the one thing we always do, and I think that's because we're California bound folk or city dwellers in the beginning, is you eliminate that opportunity theft,
for sure.
right? You just put a little lock cable or something on it that makes it a little bit more of a deterrent.
Right.
And we don't have any issues, right? Period.
They're looking for the easy mark, right? So if
They
you're
really are.
so
I mean, our one theft story was in Croatia, and like an idiot, I have like a little solar charger that I keep on the dinghy, and I put it out on the side of the boat,
Off the back of
as we left, right? And then we come back and we see the fisher boat going by our boat and then cruising by. I didn't think anything of it, and they bagged the solar panel because it was just an easy grab in and out, right? And it's just like, just eliminate those and you're fine.
Yep. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the more I travel, the more I like people.
Yeah,
I
because
agree.
Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah.
as Karen's probably explained to you, and what we obviously are, you live in this world where 95% of the people you interact with are all crooks and everything's bad. And then you got to switch and realize that no, that's not reality. The reality is 95% of people are good and 5% that you interact with every day. So it's to get those lens. And some people never leave that lens. Some people that I have
agree.
retired with or are still at work cannot be convinced that the world is not a terrible, evil place.
Yeah.
Or what you do. And
Wow.
that's,
Yeah.
so I'm glad you guys
And
are.
that's sad.
I don't think they're alone just because, it doesn't just fall into that cop mentality, right?
Yeah.
It's there's a lot of people I know that are just very much
Very
afraid of
fearful.
everybody else. And it's a shame.
It is a shame.
We
Missing
can go
out.
down that political and philosophical
No
hole,
political.
but let's not do that.
Yeah, but I mean, it's unfortunate, but we just try to lead
It
by
is.
example. I think that
Yeah.
people see how we're choosing to live in our retirement, and hopefully how people will see how you're choosing to live, and maybe they'll entertain it as a possibility, whatever their dream might be,
Yeah. And the one thing that I wanted to add to that is, you talk about the nomad life or anything like that, especially in our sailor life, we have found that, especially sailor to sailors, way more helpful, right?
Incredible.
And it all has to do with karma.
Incredible.
It's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when you're going to need help from somebody. And everybody knows that. So they're like, of course we're going to help you because my turn's going to come up and I'm hoping the same thing happens, in reverse. So, I mean, sailors are extremely helpful.
The sailing
all the time.
community really watches out for each other. I don't know if that's the same with the nomad RV community, but there isn't a day that it's, I mean, the other day, yesterday, our neighbor's gangplank, the surge was coming in and they were gone and their gangplank started to crack. And so we went out and Steve got some rods and we started putting it together for him and, made it safe so that it wasn't going to be damaged more, and then came back and then we spent about an hour.
Safe is a relative term, by the way.
Right. Yeah, it was. It was a little kind of sketchy, but it didn't get broken worse. And then, he had his dad visiting, and so we brought them and I was serving him tea and Steve was helping him build the thing. And this is very normal for sailors. I mean, I can't tell you how many times in the sailing community, somebody will watch out for your boat. Somebody will come and bring you something. Somebody will help you. If some boat's dragging in the middle of the night, everybody's up. Everybody's trying to resecure the boat. The sailing community is a wonderful group of people. And I think living at sea or just knowing that you're out there in nature, they're very giving and they're very supportive and just really look out for each other in a very special way.
That's really
That's
beautiful.
great. You guys bring up a good point, because that community and that safe space is so necessary for everybody to work like a village to do that. Not so much. I mean, we haven't really been RVers, like full-time RVers where we're needing help or needing a tow. And I know that stuff's out there, but your community, when we first started talking this morning, you guys heard a Mayday alert, and a Mayday is No one knows what a mayday is, but actually you guys, if you can hear that transmission and you can get to help, then you guys all go in
Yep.
and help other people. And that's great. That's
Yep.
a line above of an RV person or nomad person because of that community.
Yeah, and
Well,
with the
I've
water,
actually seen that too on like we've gone to off the boat and gone into like rural areas, when we ride the mountain bikes and we're in these very rural outback communities. Same scenario going on there, right? When you're out there and it's um you know, city dwellers are the ones that just kind of keep to themselves all the time, kind of have the nuclear type attitude.
right?
But when you get out into the countries and stuff, everybody has that
Oh, yeah.
attitude. That gets back to that 95%,
Yeah.
goodness of people and stuff, especially out in the backcountry.
Well,
They've been so friendly and so hospital, it's
I
been great.
broke what did I break the other day? We're on a mountain bike. I broke my chain or
Yeah.
something. Anyways, our bikes were flipped upside down in off the side of the fire road. We're going up a fire
Oh
road
yeah,
to the trail.
it was
And
your
I
chain,
think
yeah.
4 different cars went by and we're in the middle of Greece and 4 different cars went by, all pulled over, all stopped. What do you need? Do you need help? And just really wonderful. So
It's great.
yeah, I think getting away from the city and
Yeah.
Yeah, well, and I wonder too how much of that is I don't mean this in a negative way, but maybe a little boredom, right? When you live out in the rural areas, like
sure.
the same people all the time. So, oh, there's a new person. Let's go talk to them. I don't know. I feel like, you're the most interesting thing that might have happened that day because, there's not the hustle and bustle of a city. So how interesting. Look at
Well,
these
that's what
two.
one
These
of
two.
the gentlemen that invited us to his home the other night for dinner, he was a owner of a bike shop, and we went in to get a shuttle up to the top of the mountain. And he invited us home for dinner, and I was so appreciative. His mom made this amazing meal. He invited us to his mom's house. He didn't cook, but an amazing meal. It was phenomenal, and it was amazing. And we were so touched. I was so grateful. And he said just what you said, Kendra. He said, it's kind of a quiet, we're quiet area. There's not a lot going on. We just kind of work and, work, repeat. And,
Yeah.
it's kind of fun to just break up some of the monotony and,
Yeah.
invite a stranger over for dinner,
Yeah. That's interesting, right? Like it fosters those human connections, right? Because they're not so
Absolutely.
distracted by the hustle and bustle of everyday life and technology and
Yes.
Yeah.
it's one of the things we've been talking about with because we don't know where our kids will settle. And I
Mm-hmm.
really hope they get out of the Bay Area and really
Oh,
maybe
really
even
both.
out of the state of California because it's so expensive. I
I
love
agree.
California. There's a lot of beautiful things about California, but I want them to have a future where they can thrive and not just be living to work and working to live and just sort of
Oh,
constantly busy and I don't know, that pace of life is so soul sucking. So
Yeah.
absolutely.
yeah, and you realize that
Absolutely.
when you can take the time to slow down and see different places and talk to different people, you realize, oh wow, I lived that way for a long time. I don't want that for my kids.
Mhm.
Yeah, I
So
agree.
Yeah.
I agree.
I
Now,
have noticed too
oh,
that we've been in a lot of cities or villages. All the big cities, every time you go down there and everybody just keeps to themselves, right?
Mhm.
yeah,
And
Yeah.
I don't attribute it to a different
Mm.
philosophy. It's just the pure numbers of people in the city. You can't say hi to everybody in a big city. You go nuts, right? You're self-filtering it. But as you get out into the villages and stuff, everywhere you go and on a bike, everyone's saying hi, waving and stuff like that.
yeah.
And that's just the way it is, right? And to me, that's much more appealing.
Mhm.
Sure. Those have been the best
Mhm.
trips we've taken. Actually, we did a couple of bicycle trips across Portugal. Same thing, like
Nice.
countryside, you end up in these little
Oh,
villages and people are so friendly and interested in what you're doing and welcoming. And
yeah.
then we did a motorcycle trip across Ecuador. Same thing,
Oh, that's nice.
oh, what a country. What a beautiful country.
Mm.
That was amazing. I was on the
Ecuador.
back of his motorcycle and when we
Oh,
got back, I learned how to ride myself. So I was like, I'm gonna have my own. But yeah, just when you get out of the cities, because in the cities, people are, there's everything's scheduled and busy and fast and frenetic.
yep.
Mm.
Yeah.
So
yeah, my hope and our hope with this whole interaction with everybody and ever listens to this is get out of your house and go do something else. Go do something.
Bingo.
Go follow your dreams. Wake up and go, yeah, we do want to buy a boat and let's go live on that. What are we doing?
Yep.
As you guys get older, maybe it's the same, but I feel more and more mortal. My dad just passed away, and now I'm like,
Oh, I'm sorry.
what are we doing? Why are we still here? Let's keep going. We gotta, we have all these check boxes to do. And these poor people that are working paycheck to paycheck to pay their PG&E bills so that they can
Yeah.
make a little extra
Mhm.
money on that retirement. I'm gonna work 6 more months. I'm gonna
Right.
work 8 more months.
I'm gonna get a second job.
Mhm.
No, I love it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah. Go experience the
Yep.
villages you guys are talking about. Go experience the chain breaking.
Yep.
Mhm.
That was, Steve, we talked about when we were going to buy the boat and take off. And originally we have 4 kids amongst the 2 of us. And the youngest, he said, well, I kind of wanted to wait. Santino's the youngest. I wanted to wait until Santino was out of college. And I remember I told him, I'm going to go without you then. So I'm not going to wait. That
Yeah.
could be for, and by the way, he's getting he's now getting his master's. I mean, school could be forever, and I'm
Right.
like, I'm going without you.
Right.
I mean, we raised them to fly their wings, and it's our time now because we don't know how much time we're going to have. So we need to get out and go.
Yeah.
And do it as long as we can,
Mm.
get as much in as we possibly can because we don't, tomorrow is, we don't know when it is going to bring. So get out now and go for it while we can, while we're healthy enough.
Exactly. Make memories. Wait, one more quick thing before I forgot to ask you guys when you guys first talked about buying a boat. Now, do you have any,
Yep.
do you have a house still somewhere? You have a home
We have
somewhere?
a condo.
Okay.
So when Steve and I got together, we lived apart for quite a long time. And then what we did is we kept his condo over in Evergreen. We sold my place. And right now, son number 2 is renting from us in the condo for a very cheap discounted price.
Subsidized living.
Subsidized
Yeah.
living, as we say.
Mhm.
But it does give us an opportunity to go, have a home when we go home for Christmas, dump stuff in the garage, and so it is paid off. So we don't have any, he's supposed to cover the taxes, which of course doesn't happen. And, but,
Damn kids.
Yeah.
rent is cheap.
California.
Yeah, rent is not cheap. So, so we do have that one condo. and
But
that's it.
we also consider, to be fair to the kid there, is he's working hard. It's tough times,
Yeah.
it's really tough times for college graduates to get jobs in
Yeah.
Silicon Valley, and he's doing it right. He's doing it okay. Where he's got subsidized living, but we're kind of the expectation is that he's saving the money that he could be paying in rent
Mhm.
to help him later on. And for us, that's a win-win. That's
Yeah.
what
No,
we
if
as
you can
parents should be
quit,
doing, right? And,
right? That's
Mhm.
if we can do it, that's what parents are for.
Yeah,
Yeah.
To
yeah.
some degree. I
But
mean,
we
we
do
want to
not.
To a point, if they're out there, if he's out there, anyway, let's not go there.
Right.
But we don't consider that Ola, our boat, is our home. This
Yeah.
is our home.
Okay.
So, and this is where Steve makes it to the Bay Area about once a year, and that's just for Christmas for about 2 weeks. Outside of that, he's always on the
here.
boat or traveling.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Or
So
traveling, yeah.
Ola is our home. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Good.
And do you foresee that being forever?
No.
Well,
She's
as long
nodding.
as we possibly can. It's going to come down to as long as his hands don't get
Yeah.
arthritis, as
Well,
long
no,
as he can wrench.
it really comes down to the physical.
It does.
It's
does.
a physical lifestyle.
Yep.
For both of us. It's not
Mhm.
just me. And as long as our bodies, both of us, can physically do it, we're going to continue. We
Mhm.
made that decision. Wow, just like last year, 2 years ago, right?
Yeah.
We always had the 10-year plan, but the 10 years, like
Keeps
we always say
extending.
it's 10 years or more, right?
And 10 more.
Yeah.
Good.
Because we're not really fast. We're not. There's different categories that we put people that live on their boat, right? I mean, we call them sailors or cruisers, and sailors are the guys that just love to sail.
Mhm.
They
Mm.
love that, and that's what their whole point of being on the boat is.
Yeah.
We're not. The sailing is fun, but it's a means to an end for
Mhm.
us. We love to mountain bike. We love to scuba dive. I want to take up kite surfing. We go backpacking,
Mhm.
and then we go off road, and we leave the boat behind and get on a rental car and go see areas that are inland and out.
Okay.
So
Very cool.
that's what we do. But by doing that, it takes a long time if we're going to circumnavigate. So it's just so many places you got to see, and some we cut off, and what
Yeah.
we basically came down to is
Yeah.
we're not going to see it all, but we're going to enjoy the ones that we see.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
What's been
But as long
your
as we can keep going.
What's been your favorite?
Oh, what's our
Oh, yeah.
favorite? That's such a hard question,
That-
Kendra. There's so many great ones.
There's a lot of favorites for different reasons.
Yeah. You know, there's the best diving.
So the favorites are hard. I don't know if you caught this, but the favorites are really hard because they're favorites for, yeah. There's favorites for different reasons.
Yes.
And it's really hard for us to say. Everyone asks us that, where's the favorite spot? And there's favorites for different reasons, and that held it, the people or the place or the thing, right? I mean, that's what it comes down to. But it's easier to you also ask, what are the ones we didn't so much like? And the two that come up mostly are Turks Caicos,
Yep.
because in my opinion, Turks Caicos was found by sailors, but now there are all-inclusive resorts out there and taking over the whole place, and they don't want sailors there anymore. They don't need sailors. They're the low income part of the equation. And so you're not welcome there.
Yeah.
And it's kind of overridden too. It's pollution and coral life and stuff is on the decline, and it's just one of those areas that has the big hype and a lot of money going into advertising that doesn't live up to its word at all, in our opinion.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then
the Amalfi Coast. Yeah, the Amalfi Coast in Italy. And that was just, just too much surge, too much boat traffic, too many people. And then of course the storm came. So we decided to leave in the middle of the storm because we just had
Couldn't deal.
enough. We had enough, yeah.
Has there been any time where you've been really scared?
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. I think what were you talking about? Which one was really we got hit by a water spout. So let me know if you freeze. Are you frozen?
We're good.
Are you frozen?
We're here.
We're good.
We're here.
Oh, wait, not frozen. Okay. We were
So water spout. A water spout, for those that aren't familiar with it, is basically a tornado on the water.
And if you aren't familiar, like I think it was 2 years ago off the coast of Sicily, there was a boat that was sunk. It's made the news. I don't know, a huge sailboat. Billionaires were on it and sunk, and lots of lives were lost. And this was about 2 weeks after we were on the coast of Sicily. And we decided we were going to go to shore, and it was a little surgy, and we'd had some problems with that before, so we weren't going to take the dinghy because we had taken the dinghy before when it was really surgy, and I ripped my my plantar fasciitis tendon pushing the dinghy up. So we decided we're actually going to kayak, and so when it was surgy coming out, it wouldn't be as hard to get back to the boat. So we go out, we have a great day, we take the kayak. Now we're on shore and we realize, oh crap, the swell is really bad. So we're going to have to swim the kayak out past the breaking waves, get in the kayak offshore, and then paddle to the boat. So that goes fine. We get to the boat, and the boat is dipping really, really hard in the surge.
Super bad swell, right?
Bad swell. So
and by the way, we had to jump off of the kayak. I swam over to the catamaran and held on for dear life to get up on the sugar scoops to climb up to throw a line over to Karen, right? So we're totally soaked. I'm totally wet.
yeah, we've been in the water. We're swimming in the water with clothes. So we stripped all our clothes off. And of course, I've got my undies and no bra, and Steve is in his undies.
Yeah.
And we pull up anchor, the whole boat's
and we're like,
going bonkers.
Yeah, we got to get out of here.
We got to get out of here. This is bad.
horrible.
So now we're basically naked doing this, and we're high-fiving because we pull the anchor. We're like, okay, we got out of that one. So we go across the way, we drop anchor, and we're like, still butt naked, and we're high-fiving.
We're in this quote-unquote protected cove.
And there's other sailors around us.
Yeah.
And literally 5 minutes after we drop the hook, all of a sudden the storm comes, the water
Yeah.
spout comes
Clouds are
from
coming
nowhere.
over the mountain.
It was 105, 110 degrees, and now it is hailing on the boat. Huge chunks of hail.
Yeah.
We can't see a damn thing. So Steve gets up and starts the engines.
40 knots of wind. We look over, and there's other boats that are dragging right right past us, right, dragging anchor. I look over, and there's one monohull, and
completely sideways in the
his
water.
mast is touching the water.
Oh, yeah.
The winds are just
It was
peeling it
so
over
bad.
so bad.
And we couldn't see. So he's like,
Yeah.
get me the scuba
And I go,
goggles.
yeah, I go, I gotta get up. So we were at anchor, but the wind, it was the wind was shifting around us,
Because it was
right?
a water,
It was
like a
moving,
tornado moving.
right? So it wasn't a constant wind; it
Yeah.
was constantly moving. I'm like, I gotta get these engines on and point our boat into wherever the wind is going. And so we fire those engines up, and it's just pelting because
With hail.
we had the windshield off, and
Yes.
because it was so hot and
Yeah.
everything. And I'm in my skivvies, and I'm up at the helm. So what do you
Goggles.
mean? I go, give me the dive goggles. And so
Wow.
I'm in my dive goggles, steering the boat in the direction of the wind.
Oh my
You know,
God.
as the one monohull skips right
Oh.
by us, crashes into another monohull.
Else's dinghy's flying away. All of the boats in the anchorage lost all of our cushions.
Yeah.
There was a little glass hut that was on shore that all the glass was shattered. And when it all kind of settled, you know, Steve and I finally are looking around
Yeah.
and we're like, okay, I think it's passed.
This is like-
okay. And I look at him and he's in his underwear and he's shivering because it's hailing, you know, he's shivering and he's in his underwear with his goggles, and I've got my titties in my underwear, and I look behind me and all of a sudden there's a bunch of old men literally right behind us that weren't there
Like
originally. But they
15, 20 feet off of our anchor.
I want
Guess we're all
pictures.
okay,
Steve, I
you
want
know, and-
pictures.
nice tit shot. Okay,
Yeah.
anyways.
That's
You
hilarious.
guys got to take photos.
Oh
now.
my God.
Oh, yeah. I mean, and we're talking about a 10 to 15 minute period of time. That's it. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, in the middle of it, it was
Yeah.
stressful, you know, because that boat had just sunk, and now we're watching exactly what had
Yeah.
happened to them, happened to us, and
Yeah.
you know, but it was very interesting.
Yeah.
But that's, you know, when you talk about a team and working
Yeah.
together, you know, and you know, that
Yeah.
being in law enforcement, it's like all of a sudden you're in it. Here we
Yeah.
go, and until it's going to calm down, we're
Yeah.
gonna be in that fight or flight thing, and except we were doing it naked.
And I
Right.
do remember too, she was like, I saw our cushions from the roof just get
Yeah.
ripped off,
Yeah.
and I see him floating, and I'm like looking at it. I'm on the sugar scoop, and she looks over and she goes, "Don't you dare!" I was gonna go, you know, I was contemplating going to get them. And, don't you dare! Those are replaceable.
Yeah. Yeah. All new cushions.
Yeah. Now you
Yeah.
can do shopping.
$15,000 later for new cushions.
Yeah.
But you know.
Yeah. And thank God
Yeah.
Exactly.
good thing she's a cop, because when we get in those moments of like we're taking over and I'm like, it's like we're talking to each other like cops. She can't be like, I don't like your tone right now. And like, hey, we can talk about my tone later,
Oh,
but
yeah.
you leave those toes in the water.
Yeah. What have you
You know,
found?
it's so funny because I remember. Oh,
Go
go ahead. Could go.
No, I want to
No,
hear what you're going to say.
when we first started sailing, there lots of critical incidents has happened when you're sailing because of weather and stuff. It's just chaotic often. And so, you know, Steve is my mechanical guy, and he understands the mechanics of the boat. So his brain is usually figuring out, you know, what is happening wrong and how to fix it. And so, you know, when the wind is blowing, you've got to yell at each other. You know, we have headsets so we can hear each other, but when it's going wrong, we don't have our headsets on. And so you have to yell at each other. You've got to raise your tone so that you actually can hear each other with all the wind, and you need to understand what's going on. And at first he had a tough time with that. He's like, I'm really sorry I yelled at you. And I said, it's not yelling. We need to take care of business. You know, business is happening, and your tone needs to be firm, and it needs to be direct. And, you know, we gotta jump into a role, and you know, we will debrief after a critical incident, just like we would in
Always.
police work, and
Yeah.
you know, how'd that work and what went wrong and what went right. But the tone is like, yeah, we get it. Yeah,
Yeah.
we all get that. And
Yeah.
sometimes things have to get done
You can't
Yeah.
do that stuff personally.
for sure.
I wanted to ask, 'cause
No.
we get asked this question all the time, and we have a friend named Stacy. Stacy was married to another friend of ours named Doug. Doug worked for the sheriff's department. I worked with him in ICAC, and he when they retired, they did the full-time
Okay.
RV life. And then unfortunately he passed away unexpectedly
Okay.
of a stroke. And so she's the only other person we know who's lived this way that we know close, as close friends.
Okay.
And so she was saying, like, they'd get to these points where if the weather was bad and they're stuck inside this little, RV, and she'd said we'd look at each other and be like, oh, you're still there. So I guess my question is, how has being together 24/7 in what people would describe as an isolated or small
You can't go
space?
for a walk. You can't, I mean, I guess you can go to your corner of the boat and he goes to his corner of the boat, but
How has it affected your marriage? Has it strengthened it, do you think, or has it tested it, or
Interesting. So we always do this. We're like 24/7, 24/7,
24/7, baby.
and oftentimes without
You're still
other
there.
people as well, right? I think, are we frozen?
no, you're good.
Yeah.
Oh, wait,
we're
we're frozen for a second.
You're frozen.
Oh, there we go. Are we frozen?
Yeah.
Frozen. I think we're back. Sometimes we're frozen, I think, just because we're across the country, maybe.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, we always laugh, because we're like 24/7, 24/7 with you.
Mhm.
And nobody else, right? I mean, it's just the two of us.
Just
Oh, I think we're frozen again.
Frozen again.
Yeah.
Great phrase, though. Kendra's got a great phrase.
Oh,
Yeah.
It's you again.
Sean's got a good one.
still, she's still next to you, Sean.
I know.
But I mean, how has it?
A bathroom break. Break.
Okay, bathroom break.
Bathroom break.
Oh, geez.
All right.
Maybe the coverage will get better.
Here's Django. He says hello.
Oh.
Wait.
Jane got
pets,
nothing about.
No pets on the boat.
Yeah, no pets on the boat.
No pets on the boat.
That's been kind of the promise. So it's like once we get done with the boat, we have of course we have plans after the boat. And after that, we're definitely gonna have some pets. We're gonna have some dogs.
Yeah. Don't some people have dogs on boats?
They do. Yeah. And it's pretty tough, I think.
That's challenging, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Would have to be a dog that could swim. Our dog can't swim, so
Oh, wow.
he sinks.
The biggest thing is a lot of dogs won't poop on a boat.
Yeah.
And so all these poor owners are rushing them to shore, and they can't do long passages then or anything, right? You got to get the right dog if you're going to have it.
Yeah. Yeah, I would imagine those would be the dogs that didn't start out life on a boat and they learned their potty skills somewhere else.
Yeah.
And then you try to put him on a boat. He won't
Yeah.
go in any of those pet relief stations that are inside the airport.
Yeah.
He will
Yeah.
not. But as soon as we walk in
Yeah.
there, the smell is so overwhelming. He puts his tail between his legs and I'll tell him, go potty. And he's like, no, he just wants to
There's
leave.
nothing doing. Yeah.
No. And so every time we're on a layover, I have to, because he's a service dog. So I have to run all the way outside and then go back through security to make our connection. So
Yeah. Yeah, there's a number of people that do it with dogs, and it's that's the one thing is the pressure on the dog or the pets.
yeah.
And then the other thing is it really limits where you can go.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Not every country is welcoming to outside animals.
Like Australia, forget it, right?
Yeah.
And there's a number of countries that just have a lot of requirements about quarantine and vaccination requirements. And I mean, it's a big undertaking to take an animal on a boat.
Interesting. Wouldn't have thought of that.
And that's one more life to think about during your critical moments of like, where's the dog? I thought you had the dog, and that dog's gone.
Dog's overboard.
That dog's overboard.
Getting bounced back.
Yeah.
That's a
Australia
great
should
point,
allow
yeah.
any pets. Australia should let any pets into their
Sure.
country because it's the only non-poisonous things they have there. Like
Right.
everything can kill you in Australia. Now we have a dog here that's not going to kill you.
For sure. Now, I want to
Mhm.
ask, this is an old lady question, I think, but medical
Oh,
stuff,
nice.
huge challenge for us as far as like, what
Big
decisions
challenge.
making around our healthcare. So we ended up dropping Kaiser because
Okay.
Mhm.
it was like $1,700 or $1,800 a month for the two of us to have Kaiser. In Costa Rica,
Mhm.
tested out some of the medical, like I paid out of pocket for colonoscopies and an endoscopy. We paid out of
Yeah.
pocket. It was like what, $1,000 or something. It was very, you know, and that's half of what my
Mhm.
Okay.
premium was anyway. So we decided we were going to do medical care in Costa Rica. We dropped Kaiser, but
Right.
I
Yeah.
just signed up for Cigna Global for just the big stuff. If there's a crash, if
Okay.
we get a big diagnosis, have to go to an emergency room while we're in the States.
Mhm.
So
So
what do you do?
yeah,
Mm.
Mhm.
that's costing us $500 a month for the two of us. So I'm,
What if Steve was like, I'm
500.
actually a medical
Mm.
doctor?
So,
No. And,
a diesel
and
mechanic.
I just
so
fix her. I do surgery on the boat. I could do it.
Mm.
I've given him stitches.
Yeah.
I've done
Oh,
pretty good on
no.
his stitches. Yeah, I've given stitches.
Yeah.
Yeah, we did really good.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Well,
Yeah, look
the first
pretty
two were really good.
Yeah, and then after that, I started laughing, and,
Yeah.
and he's, you know,
Wow.
so we do pretty good. We because we have the condo, we still have that high deductible Kaiser, which is kind of useless. So like
Very
you,
useless.
we pay out of pocket, and we have found that we do the online doctor. I don't know if you've done the online doctor, but you can make an appointment online and they will see you anywhere in the world. You're just, it's online. And so we've been in France, and I needed, I forgot my altitude sickness medicine, and we were backpacking. And so you just make an appointment online doc pops up. What time do you want your appointment? Noon. And where are you going to be? Which country? And I say, I'm in France. And he says, Yippee-ki-yay. He pops up on your screen. What do you need? This is what I need. What pharmacy? You tell him, and your pharmacy, your medications go. And it's brilliant, $50. And so we've used that multiple times. And there are online doctors all over the world. And the one that I dealt with that time, he doesn't even work in an office anymore. He just does the online. I've used it all up and down the East Coast. And then we did pay out of pocket. I fell off the scooter the other day in Montenegro and really took a header and needed some serious stitches. And so we paid out of pocket in Montenegro, emergency room, CT scan, antibiotics, stitches, €50 out the door, 45 minutes. Crazy,
Listen to that,
crazy.
Americans.
Yeah.
Listen to that,
Yeah.
USA people.
God.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So when you
Yeah.
say
45 minutes, and that was everything.
that's crazy. When you say the online doc, is that the name?
Oops, I lost you a little bit, Kendra.
Okay. We'll let it catch up. Buffering.
Yeah. There it goes.
So
Buffering. Is it buffering? There we go.
Yeah.
yeah, can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. So is it called the online doctor? Is that the name of the service? Do you have to pay a subscription or is it
You know,
just
nope, no subscription at all. I'll
Mhm.
send you, I've used different ones, but there's tons of them out there.
Mhm.
And I'll just Google online doctor for France and English speaking online doctor for France.
Yeah.
But I've used different services, but I have usually the appointment's $50. And generally speaking, we know what we need. We ran out of antibiotics, or we need this or that, or something. But Steve and I've done x-rays, we've done blood work, and it's been great.
Quite honestly,
Yeah.
just European speaking, because that's our only background really, but everything has been out of pocket, has been probably 1/10 the cost of what
Yeah.
it would have been in the States.
For sure. Yeah.
and you're paying,
Oops, it's buffering again.
in that
There we go.
Kaiser plan, you're paying, we were paying like 20 grand a year
Yep.
just to say we had Kaiser, and that doesn't include the deductibles and your
Right.
copays and all of that. And so I
Right.
was like, even if I had to go do a surgery, we have two friends in Costa Rica that had heart surgeries, and both of them it was like 20 grand out of pocket.
Okay.
So that seems like a lot, but not when you're already paying that in copays,
Not really.
Yeah.
Right. Right.
I mean,
And that's what before I left Montenegro, we're going back to Colombia.
Mhm.
And so my yellow fever's like, I don't know, I had it back in the 90s. So, I went back and I said, I want to get yellow fever. My sister, she met me in Peru. So she had to get yellow fever. She paid $800 and had to drive like 2 hours to get to the vaccination, because it's such a, oops. Uh-oh. There we go. It's low. I think we're still with them.
Mhm.
Yeah, you're still here.
But in Montenegro, I just walked in and they did it right on the spot and I paid $20. Oh,
Man,
there we go.
Yeah.
Yeah. So anything we can do overseas, we do. Everything in our immunizations, anything, because it's so much cheaper, so much easier. Blood work, x-rays, foot injections, my yellow fever injection, $20 versus my sister, $800,
Yeah.
with insurance. Everything we can do overseas, we do, even with insurance in the States.
Now we
It's
do.
ridiculous.
So we do. We're fortunate enough where we come back at least once a year
Once a year.
to California.
Yeah.
And then we play kind of their game, that we load up on our annual prescriptions.
Yeah.
I get my annual, which is supposed to be free with Kaiser, but I always end up paying $400 or $500 extra. And we get all those taken care of when we're there.
Yeah.
And so,
Yeah.
our medications that we need, we do get filled. But at the same time, at least in Europe, if we've even run out, we can get them filled here.
We can. I walked in
And
the
for
other
a
day.
fraction of the cost, quite honestly.
I walked in the other day. We ran out of our prescriptions, which is unusual, but we had stopped back in the States and it was Martin Luther King Day. So none of the pharmacies were open. So that's when I was going to do our refills. And so I couldn't because it was a holiday and then we were flying out. So we got to Montenegro. I knew we were going to be low on meds again. And so I just took the bottles into the pharmacy. I didn't even see a doctor. And I said, hey, we have these medications. And she just pulled all the prescriptions out, just laid them on the counter, $20. I had everything. It was crazy.
Yeah.
No doctor needed, just straight with my straight with my prescription bottle, no hassle. I mean, I said, when she laid them on the table, I said, can you give me like 6 months? Because you gave me 1 month so easy. Now I'll take 6. No problem. What do you need? And
Wow.
ridiculous. Super easy. Yeah.
that's wonderful.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
That gives us hope.
Yeah, it was great.
Now, fortunately,
Well,
we've been pretty healthy. Right.
Right. Well,
Oops,
you're
what?
active. How do you do, I guess because you're not out at sea for long periods of time, you're able to stock up on what you need, right? You just load up on groceries just like
Yep.
you would
Yeah.
at a brick and mortar house.
Well, we have a huge freezer.
We do.
Huge freezer that I could climb in and die.
Yeah.
And if I ever disappear, you know where to look.
Yeah.
But and we do, like for the ocean crossings, that thing will be full.
Yeah.
And
And like when we get to the Caribbean, we'll probably have
stock
it
up.
filled
Yeah.
up too, because the expense of it all and the availability. But here in the Med, we've shut that thing down. And we've been here 3 years. It's never been fired up.
yeah.
It's
Okay.
now that we're leaving the Med, it's like, oh shit,
It's
I got
good
to
to
find
go.
out where I got to store all this other stuff I've been storing in there. Type thing.
yeah, you
He's got
accumulate
all sorts
stuff.
of crap in there.
Just accumulate stuff no matter where you are and what you do. You just
I don't know how that happens.
Yeah.
How does
Yeah.
that possibly happen? We have a small space and
Right.
every little spot gets filled.
Right.
Yeah.
Have you
Yeah.
had have your connections back in the Bay Area or in the States, have people come to see you and spend time with you? Have you been able to maintain those relationships?
Interesting. That's a very interesting question. So like you, I didn't hang on to a lot of working relationships per se, probably because of a lot of differences of political opinions. So we have had people come. We've had people come kind of unexpectedly as well. Like Paul Cook was doing the Camino de Santiago, and before you know it, he was on the boat. It was awesome. So Tino Hattie's in France right now, and I just found out he was in France. I'm all, come meet us in Malta. And so we've had a couple of those fun, unexpected visits. Generally speaking, we've had friends that we have personally invited, and we are very selective. Because we have had some things that haven't gone well. And like with you guys, it's a small space. And, once we have people here, it's you're here, we're going to go cruising and, we might, it's going to be a little while till we get you back to an airport. So, so we've gotten a little bit better about picking and choosing. And some people, we don't invite. But those that we have invited, we've had a great time with.
I agree.
Yeah.
The thing, so word of recommendation if you're looking for people that are going to live on a boat is the expectation of the people that we know and the guests is they don't consider it your home at all, right? They want to figure like it's almost like they consider it a hotel where, of course, they can come and visit and and visit here, and we're going to go here, and we're going to sightsee and do this, and they're going to be waited on here and there, and like how often does that happen in your regular home?
Right.
Your
Right.
your families come and visit and maybe a few guests every once in a while, but the frequency when we first started was really high, but then it's like,
Really
wait a
high.
minute, we live here, we're not gonna open up our home all the time to everybody
Yep.
for every little thing that's gonna come on. So yeah, I think over the time we've become very selective on guests.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
makes
Not
sense.
that we don't have a family. We love having the family out, absolutely. But in terms of people coming on board, and especially the one thing that we've learned a lot on is when people first came on board, it was this training session. Every single time everyone came on a boat and they wanted to learn how to sail.
Everything.
And it was just,
It was exhausting.
Karen's such
It
a
was
giver that it was just this exhausting thing over and over. And now we're like, yeah, no, when we're docking, just stay in the cab.
Or no,
We'll take care of it. Type
it's just
yeah,
if I'm teaching you all day long,
yeah,
it's exhausting.
yeah,
It's exhausting. And now we've also gotten to the point too that we have couples with common interest.
yeah.
So, it's like we're
Right.
going to go diving, right? Stuff that's like common interest, and that has worked a lot better
Right,
for us.
right,
Yeah.
yeah.
Now, did you learn how to scuba dive after you started living on the boat, or were you already divers before that?
Before.
Steve's a lifetime diver, 30 years, 30 something years,
Yeah,
and a lobster diver. And he goes in the caves and kind of all the crazy diving. And then I got certified when I met him. Yeah.
Okay.
So
all right.
before we bought the boat, I was certified.
if I had to guess, I have 2,000 dives plus log. Well, I
Okay.
haven't logged them, but if I had to guess, yeah,
He's been diving a long
a
time.
long time.
Good.
Long time.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
Any close tiger shark encounters? This one.
No tiger shark. No
tiger.
tigers. Have you guys seen tiger sharks?
On the livable.
He was by himself.
Oh, in Bahamas or?
Yeah, he was by himself.
Oh.
We were the last ones out of the water. We did our decompression stop, and he was kind of to my left and then behind me. Time's up, so I start heading towards the boat,
Okay.
and the boat's drifting a little bit, right?
Yeah,
in
yeah.
the current. So I'm swimming for the boat, swimming. I'm assuming he's with me, but
That's how you swim is pretty pathetic, by the way.
yeah. And then I get up on the platform and I turn around expecting him to be right behind me, and he's not. So bad dive buddy. I left him behind, and
Oh, boy.
he was under there with a tiger shark.
Uh-oh.
Yeah.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, pretty scary. He came out
And
of
it was circling you? Oh my God.
Yeah, was it 15 feet with a
Wow.
safety stop? And I
The
was-
ones we
sorry. And the boat was on its way back to me because it was doing that drift on the anchor. So she swam to it.
yeah,
It was
Okay.
yeah.
180 degrees away from me. I was just going to wait. And I was all by myself in this very quiet. And I looked up, and this tiger shark, who'd probably been looking at me from the periphery, came up to start investigating. And there was no boat and no Kendra and just me. And I was like,
Oh
okay.
gosh. Oh gosh.
Yeah, it's in that other podcast, but it was circling me, and then I saw the boat start to come back, and I swam and made it to the boat. But that was the first time we'd seen a tiger shark the whole boat dive. And
Wow.
hopefully the last. That was not fun.
Yeah, I don't want to do a tiger
Yeah.
shark dive. I see all those videos. I like the
I'm a
little
nurse shark kind of gal.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm a nurse shark gal, a puffer fish, yeah, I don't really want the great whites or,
no.
we are going to go to Australia, and I'm like, I don't,
Croc country.
Croc country. Yeah. I don't know. That'll be interesting, but we'll see. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know about that, but
Yeah.
well, I'm glad it didn't eat you.
Yes.
I'm sure you puffed up and looked very strong.
Yes.
You did.
He
Yes.
maintained eye contact the whole time. He was like going in a circle,
Exactly.
maintaining eye contact.
Exactly. Punch it in the nose.
Yeah.
Right. Have you seen, do you
Mhm.
watch that Ocean Ramsey is her name, I think. There's a gal on Instagram, and I believe her name is Ocean Ramsey. And she works with sharks, and she gets in there on purpose with these giant tiger sharks, and she just redirects them. She just puts her hand right here on their forehead
Mhm.
and
Oh my
Mhm.
pushes them
God.
away. And I'm
Mhm.
like, I don't know if I would be calm enough to do.
Mm.
I think I would,
Mhm.
I don't think so.
no, like that fight or
No, I don't
flight
think
of
so.
like, this is a man-eating animal and it's coming close. I don't know
Yeah.
if
Yeah.
I'd be calm enough to be like, just go that way. It's
I'm going to
terrifying.
give you some Koga. Just Koga nice and
Yeah.
smooth.
Well, yeah,
Exactly.
my buddy and I, we went in in the Bahamas, we did a shark dive, which is pretty popular, where they kind of chum the feed, they chum them
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
and they know. And the one thing I remember them saying is, definitely you can videotape it, but none of this sticking your hand out to video, up against your chest, because they think
Yeah.
you're feeding it, and they might just,
Mhm.
you might feed them your camera if you're not careful.
Mhm.
But other than that, they were completely docile. I mean, and they were swimming in between all the divers, and not a problem. They knew where the food was, and it was pretty dynamic, activity. But I'm not really afraid of sharks. I think sharks are over overrated in terms of their aggressiveness and what they're really after and stuff. So, would I want to encounter a great white? No, but the bull sharks and the other ones that
Mhm.
we've encountered
The bull sharks
in
were
the
bad.
Bahamas are only aggressive because fishermen have been feeding them,
Yeah.
throwing out their chum and stuff, and so they're used to getting fed in the presence of humans,
Mhm.
and that's why they get a little aggressive.
Yeah.
And other than that, all the encounters I've had with sharks have been really docile, and like what you said, you're always facing them, backing out, and not and showing them that um, you're not the aggressor, but you're also not backing down.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
Lots of bull sharks in the southern part of the Bahamas.
Yeah.
And we came into an anchorage in the Raggeds, which is very remote. It's in the farthest part of the Bahamas. And as soon as you drop the anchor, the bull shark was
Bulls start circling.
right on. Because normally we'll swim our anchor just to check it, make sure it's set if you can't see it. And boy, we dropped that
Yeah.
anchor and that bull shark was
They're just
in it.
there looking for food.
Yeah, we didn't go in the water there.
Because they do get aggressive there, and we're like, nah, we're not
Yeah,
gonna do this.
they very aggressive bull sharks there. It was interesting.
Mhm.
So no swimming there. Yeah,
Yeah.
This
no.
brings up a question. I have a question about your planning. So, like, do you take on different roles? Is there one of you that's like the logistics, planner? I'm guessing that's Karen based on the fingers.
Yes.
Me.
So do you research about where you're going and know that? Like, I wouldn't know
Yes.
about researching that, oh, in this part of the Bahamas, there's a lot of bull sharks that are aggressive. Like, how do you,
Mhm.
how much time do you put into planning your route, your next location,
Oh, man.
a full-time
Two
job?
full-time jobs. Two
Yeah.
full-time jobs. So he handles all the boat mechanics, which is a full-time job in itself. I handle all the weather, the logistics, the provisioning, the research, and really, truly kind of two full-time jobs. And I couldn't do his job, he couldn't do mine, and we couldn't do the boat without each other.
I think in terms of constant work, she's more busy than I am all the time. My work,
Yeah.
peaks and valleys all the time. I fix things when they break or maintenance or something like that, but she is constantly. I mean, I would say that Karen has us in a position where we're a year to a year and a half already planned.
Yeah, yeah.
That's great.
Yeah, and it's
Right.
so I'm researching ahead, which means weather
Yeah.
and timing and when's the best time to do A, B,
Yeah.
C, D, and understanding.
And what's cool and what's not, right?
Yeah,
Where do you want to go and what's not?
yeah, it's
And she totally. The joke is that if I was here on the boat by myself, is the boat would be in pristine, beautiful
it
condition,
would.
but I
You'd go
wouldn't go
nowhere.
anywhere.
He'd still be back in the United States.
Yeah.
He'd still be sitting there
Yeah.
wondering what season it was.
So
Well,
I
I
mean,
mean,
Couldn't go anywhere because the boat would always
yeah.
be broken.
I mean, as an example, like Karen has the captain's license.
I actually got my captain's
She
license.
got her captain's license, and we thought for twofold reason. One, me dealing with customs and stuff never going to go well.
He has a little bit of
A
a
little bit of
he's
an attitude,
Italian,
right?
you know, so and he doesn't like the bullshit,
Right.
you
And
know,
I just can't
so
deal with that stuff. Where
yeah.
she does very well with it, and two,
It's like
and
Oh, you're frozen.
uh-oh.
I,
Tiff Rose.
I understood the boat life quite in all the aspects of boat. It kind of came second nature to me, right? Okay, I had a wind, vectors, this, apparent wind. I got it. Where she kind of struggled with it because
She
it's just
did.
not her forte.
Yeah, it was hard for me.
And for me to be her instructor, all bad, right?
All bad.
Just
That
all
did not go
bad.
well at all. No and no.
Right? So
Yeah.
she took the courses and she would go out sailing with other people and learn
Mhm.
their techniques and
Yep.
all the other aspects of sailing without me, which is
Mm.
great because she gets her own style and her own learning base that she needed. And so that was the division that the
Mhm.
division line that we conquered it with, right? And now she's full-time, she's the captain and she finds out where we go and I keep the boat running.
Yeah.
Nice.
I did take him the other day. Normally, just the captain goes to shore for customs. So on a boat, and you come into another country, you come in and you raise this little yellow quarantine flag. It's kind of fun. And you're like, "Yay, I'm in quarantine!" And so you're not allowed to do anything. So then just the captain goes on shore and deals with
Typically.
the bullshit of the bureaucracy, and that's usually customs and immigration, and who knows. It can be anywhere from 2 hours to 8.
And I want
depending.
her to wear the cute little captain's outfit, but
I
she
am not
just
doing
won't
that.
do it.
Not doing that.
Just pop
So
out.
yeah, sometimes I unzip a little bit before I go
Oh.
in, and then it was a woman, and I'm like,
Yeah. Damn.
Natural roles. Come on.
oh
Don't fight it.
boy. So the other day though, I took him with me, which he normally doesn't come, and we had only started. It was only at the office number 1, and the bullshit starts of you must sail 4 hours back from where you came from because you didn't check out properly. I'm like, I did. Here's my receipt, and you go through all these hoops that you have to do. And we had just left the first office, and it was going to be about a 4-hour ordeal. And Steve's like, I need a beer.
We got a
We
good
just go to
beer,
get a
man.
beer. I'm like, started. We haven't even started the bullshit yet. Oh, we have got a long day ahead of us.
You know, might be brother.
Yes. Yes. Yeah. So we did. And
So yeah,
it's a natural division of
there
ours.
is.
It's worked out
Yeah,
really good.
really
Yeah.
well.
Really, really good. And
Yeah.
and neither one of us is bitter or resentful. We both feel like we're both working just as hard, and we're both very appreciative of each other's work efforts.
Yes.
And we both know that both of us are working 120%
Yeah.
to make it come together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
If you
awesome. That's
had
why
to
it
put
works.
the
That's why it works,
and if you
for
had to
sure.
put the like, if I really think if you had to put the numbers on who worked more hours, it would be her. Right. I work when it's a critical deal or when it's a maintenance or when we're going on the hard and we're in maintenance mode. I work really hard. I work long hours
Really,
then.
really hard.
But day to day, absolutely, she's on the computer every day. Thanks to Starlink.
Yeah. Yeah.
She's on the computer every day, and I mean, seriously, we're a year and a half to 2 years,
Yeah. Planning,
booked.
That's awesome.
generally
Right.
speaking.
And they say the only other thing I'm going to give her the compliment for is, the adage is, oh, sailors' plans are made in the sand during low tide,
It's kind of like
that type of thing. You basically you can't scale the schedule,
yeah.
but with her schedule, we've hit every mark.
Yep.
For
Right.
5 years, we've hit almost every mark we've set in there. So I don't buy into that, right? No, the other adage that I like to say is the people that plan the most can be the most spontaneous.
Yep. Lots of
Because you got
cushion.
your ads, you got your other shit covered, right? So
Lots
you
of
can
cushion.
you can be spontaneous then. Where if
Yeah.
you're just it's a shit show, flying by the edge of your seat, we don't sign up to that at all because you're going to get stuck, period, and it's going to be a big one.
Yeah.
Do you find that you have like a daily routine and that routine just moves along with you? Like, for example, our routine usually is he's usually the one to get out of bed first. I don't sleep well, so I'm often like trying to laze about in the morning, but he'll get up, he'll make
Mhm.
coffee, take the dog out for a walk, bring me coffee in bed. Then we kind of talk about our day, and then we ease into it. And then at night, we always have we go out to dinner, and then we, have a cocktail or two, watch a couple shows, go to bed. Do you have a routine that you kind of keep in place on the boat, or is that too difficult because of the changing circumstances all the time?
Both, and it depends.
Yes.
So, so we do have all of our workout gear on board. We have TRX, we have weights, we have, you name it, we have it. So as far as workout, and
And by the way, exercise
Priority
is
first.
priority one.
yeah, that's what we try and make it. It
Yeah.
doesn't always happen, but we always, like, tomorrow we have to move the boat. Oops. So we're trying to get to do some mountain biking in an island a couple of hours. So and it's going to take us about 20 hours overall to get there. So
Yeah.
tomorrow morning we'll try and leave some time to have a routine, which would be wake up. Steve likes to go off the back of the deck, have his coffee, kind of, wake up more leisurely. He usually brings me tea in bed, try and get our workout in before we start. Because once we start, we always say we're going to work out underway, and
Never happens.
never happens. It just doesn't happen. Yeah, it's really, even if it's smooth sailing, it's still, before you know it, you're kind of just, you get sucked into it.
You're dodging tankers, or you're changing sails, or something's going on. It just doesn't happen.
So when we're stationary, our regular routine goes into play, but we aren't often stationary for too long. And if we are stationary, I'm usually routing us based on things that we want to do. So I'm usually routing us based on dive sites or mountain biking, or some activity.
Tourist
Yes,
locations,
tourists,
yeah.
but not so much tourists, but it's usually some activity. So it is hard. We do try and have a routine, but that does kind of go by the wayside a little bit.
I mean, the core, like the ones you
Yeah.
brought up, waking up first and stuff. That's we definitely have our routines
do,
there.
yeah.
And so I'll tend to.
You tend to wake up
tend
now.
to wake up.
I'm
I
like
get
you,
out of
Kendra.
bed, and
That
then I'll make
menopause
her
thing.
tea and bring it down, and then I make
Yep.
my espresso and go out on the dock, out on my. We have a little deck. I like to go out on the stern and just contemplate life for a couple hours.
So great.
But yes,
Sounds
there's some
terrible.
routine, but
Oh, Sean, terrible.
but it's always a struggle to I think we're creatures of habit, and it's tough to maintain that when
It is.
you're nomadic.
Yeah, I think so too. And we have to move when the wind tells us to move. So we can't just say, today's the day we want to move the car.
Mhm.
We have to say, oh, today is not a good day. The wind says no, so we're not going to go today. And so we have to go when Mother Nature tells us to go, which really adds in a whole different element.
Mhm.
Because depending on where we have to get to, is there, I'm going to fly home, so I'm going to fly home out of Athens, so we have to get to Athens by a certain time, and now we have to backtrack it based on what the weather is going to allow us to do, and so that factors into.
That's interesting because
a lot of factors.
I tend to be the one who also does most of the route planning and where we're going to stay. And I hadn't even thought about how much more complicated that would be if I mean, to some degree we have to look at weather, but not to the same degree.
For sure.
We're not dependent
Yeah.
on the weather. And I mean, it's already feels like a full-time job. I do a lot while we're underway.
Yeah.
He's driving and I'm on my laptop and doing logistics and planning and booking things ahead of time and whatever. But I can't imagine the added, how do you hit the mark? How do you always hit your mark? If you're dependent on the weather, do you just factor in enough buffer time of extra?
Yep.
Yeah.
So if I think I need a week buffer, I give it 3 weeks.
Okay.
Right? Especially with any, and then mechanical stuff that comes in. If he tells me it's going to be 3 weeks for the repair, I figure 6. And maybe 8.
Yeah.
And then add 2 more.
Right. Yeah. You're dependent on
So I
somebody.
got to do this upgrade while I'm there.
Yeah.
Yes.
As well. And just like any other project, right? You're dependent upon
For sure.
the supplies, the supply chain, whether the shop is open that day.
Monday.
Closed on Monday.
Yes.
Right? God, closed on Monday.
Yes.
Our pet peeve.
Right.
Yeah.
And overseas getting stuff almost impossible. We had to, in Montenegro, we could not get anything. When we lived in Montenegro, we were there for 2 winters, and it was like living with a dollar store. That's what I described it.
Yeah.
We needed a couple of sheets of plywood for a project. We had to rent a car. We drove all day. We went to 4 different hardware stores and could not get 1/4 inch plywood. We could get 1 sheet 1/4 inch, but not 4 sheets. We could get a 1/2 inch, a 1/4 inch, an inch. I mean, you want to talk about impossible.
And
It
don't,
was,
don't even talk about marine grade.
oh my God, you just couldn't get supplies. And so eventually we got a mailbox in Croatia, and we would get a car and we would drive over the border with our suitcases. We would ship everything that we could to this mailbox in Croatia because it was part of the EU where you could generally get stuff. We went and package it at, this is illegal. We went and package it at the mailbox, etc. Get rid of all the trash. We'd put all the goodness into our suitcases, put the suitcases back in the car. Oh,
Uh-oh.
what happened?
I think we extended beyond the podcast limit.
No, that was Sean trying
Because
to
you
like.
said this is illegal. I was like, oh no.
Sorry. Not illegal. Definitely not illegal.
Not illegal.
Not legal at all.
And I didn't bribe any custom agents on the border at all, ever.
No. So we would shove everything in suitcases, and then we would drive over the border looking like tourists.
Yeah.
Because now we're bringing stuff in. And this is how we had to get things because you could not. I mean, I came home and Steve seriously ordered 18 jars of Skippy peanut butter. My suitcase came back with 18 jars of Skippy peanut butter.
Just the priorities.
Seriously. Yeah, supplies were very difficult.
Yeah.
So that's a huge problem for us.
Yeah, one of your questions was, what do you miss about the land base? And definitely land base and especially I gotta hand it to the US in terms of availability of product. US kicks ass.
Oh yeah,
right.
for sure.
Yeah,
for sure.
And so we're fortunate enough where we do have the guests that do come out to us, we call them, they have to have a mule.
Yeah, we call them our mules.
So even if it comes down to us paying for their extra luggage, it's worth it.
Yep.
And when we, Karen goes back to the States a little more frequently than I do, but she's got quite a big suitcase of supplies to come back with us.
Always.
Because that's just the way it runs. But I think that really gives us the edge to days gone past when you just had to deal with what was available in the country that you're in. And those days are over. If you're fortunate enough where you can, in which we are, where we can afford to go back to the States and visit every once in a while.
It was rough. I mean, in Montenegro, we couldn't even get coffee beans. You could get ground coffee, but you couldn't get coffee beans. I mean, you name it. You could get salt and pepper. That was about it. Even spices, just, oh my goodness, it was complicated and very frustrating, So that part was tough. So I would come back with a lot of food in my suitcase.
Costa Rica is very similar.
It worked, right?
Costa Rica is just like that.
That surprises me.
Yeah.
Really?
Well,
that's not good.
There's like a 30-something% tariff on everything that comes into the country. And it's also a country that has a very high cost of living. It's the most expensive country in Latin America. And it's difficult. So the things that you're used to, I mean, there are some big box stores, they have like a Price Smart, which is kind of like Costco.
Right.
But even then, you're kind of limited on the things that it will have based on what we're used to in the US. And I just learned that you can get Amazon there. There's like Amazon Costa Rica where they have a warehouse. So you can only order the things that apparently that are already in the country, but otherwise things have customs and it's like things get delayed. So we do the same thing when people come down. We're like, hey, we'll pay for your luggage fee if you will bring these things for us. Can I ship it to you?
Sunflower seeds, they don't have them there. Real peanut butter. They have peanut butter there, but it's not peanut butter. Coffee
it's not the same.
Believe it or not, coffee beans are hard to find in Costa Rica.
Really?
That shocks me.
Costa Rica.
You can find them. You just have to look a lot harder.
Wow.
Most of it's exported, and all the stuff they have there is all the pre-ground. It's all basically like Folgers. Sorry, Costa Rica, if you're listening, but it's all Folgers in different bags.
You can get it. You have to go to the farms, you do a coffee tour at a farm. But at the grocery stores, like the grocery stores in our town, you walk up and down, there's nothing that's not already pre-ground. They ship out the good stuff.
Yeah.
And then,
Wow.
The most frustrating is a hardware store. It's the most
oh
frustrating.
yeah.
It's a lot easier than you guys.
Oh
But
God.
the hardware store that we needed to replace a whole bunch. I need to replace a whole bunch of bathtub, faucet parts that the bathtub
Turn
spigots,
lights.
Okay.
the bathtub spigots attached to it, but the part on the inside is what I need, but they don't sell that. You have to buy the entire
It's-
like bathtub shower unit. So that's just
Okay.
frustrating, and it's just a learning curve, and you just get by it. But man, it's like we take it for granted what we can get in the United States.
We do.
Yeah.
You
We
just
do.
get
Yeah.
used
I'm
to it.
telling you, when the second that I land, you know, I'm like, oh, Target, Target. You know, I'm like running to Target. I'm like, oh my God, Mexican food, Indian food, and Target. There we go.
Oh
I
my
am just gone to heaven.
Yeah, same. Indian food, number one, is our number one favorite
Yes.
food. I'm always looking for an Indian food
Oh.
place. Right now we're in the
Yeah.
Midwest in Canada. It's a little harder to find.
Oh
Oh,
God.
man.
A lot of white people food over here.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, no, for sure. The diversity of the food is definitely interesting. Yeah, I mean, we cook
Well,
a lot,
Well,
so
not only that, but
it's okay,
the
but
diversity of what, living in the Bay Area
yeah, for sure.
has brought us, has shown us,
Yeah.
right? The diversity you can get in the Bay Area is really world class from what we've seen so
Absolutely.
far.
The food, for sure.
The food, the
Absolutely.
food availability and what you can get there is amazing. When like she was bringing up Montenegro, and it's like, and even in other countries, it's like, oh, this is so great. The first 2 weeks, and it's like, is there anything else on the menu
Right.
other than the same type of menu?
Right. Yeah.
Right.
Same thing,
Mm-hmm.
for
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah.
So
Diversity
it's a
of
unique
food,
gig.
diversity of
Yes.
politics and thought, diversity,
Yes.
just general diversity of people. Like we're noticing as we came through like South Dakota, Nebraska, Illinois, Wisconsin, Michigan.
Yeah.
Like
Mhm.
we would wake up and really say like, okay, how many people of color are we going to see today? Like
For sure.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
five? I mean, it's a whole different ball of wax. It's
Yeah.
really-
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah, very
Yeah.
different.
All
We've
right,
noticed that
But
for
at the
sure.
same time, getting back to like Montenegro, it was when we get there, and I kind of equated it to a Russian-based
Very Russian.
thing,
Yeah.
mentality.
All Russian.
The story I always tell everyone is like, I go into a store and I go, "Hey, do you have this?" And he goes, "No,
No.
no." Can you order it? No. I go, well, I'm kind of looking for this, and then after you kind of warm up to him, he's like, "Wait a minute, what are you after?" Okay, this is what you need, brother.
Oh my God.
Trust me, this is
Oh
what
my
you need.
God.
This is what I can give you. Come with me to the
You're-
back. I'll show it to you. This is where you meet. As soon as you get in the circle,
Yeah.
they're up front. Personality is very cold, but then
Very
after
cool.
they're so quick to bring you into the brotherhood, right? It's just so nice, right? It was good, but it's what they would offer you and what they made it work, right? But it wasn't what you're used to,
Yeah.
right? It wasn't like,
Yeah.
no, I just want to order it. No,
No.
impossible.
No, nothing. And
Well,
it was very pushy, you know,
Yeah.
it was always such a crack up. I'd always go into the bakery, and Steve likes cherries, everything. So I'd go into the bakery. They have a lot of cherry there. So I'd go into the bakery, and I'm like, oh, I'd kind of look around, and somebody'd look at me, and they're very Russian, so nobody's speaking English, and I'd kind of be like, oh, what do I think? And the woman next to me tells the woman, she wants this, 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 and this. And I'm like, I kind of wanted that. No,
No, trust me, you want that.
no, you're taking this. And I'm like, I don't want that.
Yeah, but Karen the pleaser. Okay.
Well, this is what you got, because that's what the lady told me I was having. I wanted the cherry one. You didn't get that
No.
one
No, you
today.
didn't.
You don't want that.
You didn't want
Nah,
that.
You were told, yeah, no,
Yeah.
no.
That's
Yeah, pretty funny. It's good.
But wonderful people, just
Great people.
different character, right? Different
Yeah,
culture.
very
different approach on it. Yeah.
Yes, different
Yeah.
for sure.
different culture.
Yeah.
All right, we should wrap it up. We've been going for a long time. Do you have a closing
Excellent.
question?
I have a logistical question. I would love to see your boat. So at some point, you don't have to do it now. Will you give us a tour of your boat on video?
Of course.
Of like, this is where we sleep. This is where we eat, like, because
Sure.
the only picture you said catamaran, and I know that's
It's got two.
in my mind, it's not what I think it probably is. So a good tour would be great for me. And then, man, I don't, and yeah, just pictures and videos of your day-to-day living life, where you eat, where your refrigerator is,
Awesome.
where your deep freezer is that
Okay.
you're going to be hiding in if someone looking for
Yeah,
it.
super interesting. And then I guess I would ask, like, for the, 50 people that we know who are listening to this, do you have any like parting words that you would like, what would you like people to come away from this podcast knowing either
Uh.
about you or your lifestyle? What advice would you give? How do you want to close it out?
Don't
I have one.
hesitate. Don't
Yeah.
hesitate.
Don't hesitate, but
Go live
in
life.
some of your questions, you said, what does it take for a couple? And it's like, for us, what we've seen that are successful, it can't be one person's dream.
I agree.
It has to be both.
Yeah.
If the one person says, yeah, I want to do this, and the other one's like, oh, I'll go along with it, you're doomed. That's all there is to it. You got to find the common goal or the common joy, whatever it is, because otherwise it's not going to work. It'll work for a few years maybe, but that's it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Agree.
Good.
Great advice.
Agree.
I love it.
But we will send you some video and send you some photos. And we are looking forward to diving with you folks in the Caribbean, or wherever it is that you finally are coming. But we are taking the boat to Raja Putt. It'll be a few years, but we'll eventually get there, probably after you. But
And so we have
Well,
decided to
what was that, Sean?
I said, we'll just vet it for you, and then we can go back and we'll say, we're going to do this.
There you go.
Absolutely. Yeah, plan it all out. And then when we go on Ola, then you will know all the great spots to go.
Yeah.
Okay.
That'll be
So
perfect.
we were originally talking to you, and we were going to go to Belize and
Oh, yeah.
Cayman Islands.
Yeah.
And I think that got kind of shelved
It did.
after Karen did research.
Logistic stuff.
We're kind of thinking more we're going to do the Panama gig and then go through the canal and go up to West Mexico and La Paz.
Oh,
And then if we want to go to Belize, we're going to jump over.
Okay.
Oops. Wait, I think we lost.
And maybe do a liveaboard or something.
Oops.
And we'd love to hear you guys' ideas on that.
Okay.
Oops, sorry.
Love it. Love it. Sorry, there's a little bit of delay on that one. But yeah, so when do you think you'll be in Panama?
Yeah.
That's okay. Yeah.
When do you think you'll be coming through Panama?
Okay, so we cross in November. And then we'll land in St. Martin, and then we'll spend a season in the Caribbean. So that'll be St. Kitts, Martinique, which I hear there's some pretty good diving through there if you guys are interested. I mean, it's not Rajampot, but it's off the back of the boat, so it's pretty fun.
Yeah.
So, it's very relaxing, let's just say. It's not a liveaboard that you're looking at your watch. So, so we're going to do the whole Caribbean down to Grenada. We'll spend the 4 months in Grenada while the hurricanes are blowing through and the lightning season. Then we'll go up the coast of the ABC. So that's Bonaire. We did dive Bonaire. It's okay.
Good.
Not amazing, but it was okay. And then through Colombia to Panama. We'll hit Panama December, January. We'll go through the canal. And then we'll go up the coast, Costa Rica, making our way to Mexico. And because we hear that the Sea of Cortez is supposed to be really lovely.
And my bucket list is San Benedicto.
To dive with the big rays.
Yeah.
Off the coast up there. They're supposed to be amazing. And then we will cross to the South Pacific.
I'd love to do that. Well,
to South Pacific.
I'd love to try to like line something up where we can
for sure
see, like, we'll be in Costa Rica September, October. Part of November, we're going to go to Japan for a couple weeks and then come back to Costa Rica. Then we'll spend December in Costa Rica, but we don't have plans after that. So maybe in that December, January window would be a good opportunity to connect.
That would be a good time.
Yeah.
That would be a great time.
Yeah.
February too, but we'll talk about that. That'd be awesome. Yeah, that could be.
We're hooked on Japan for skiing too.
We are. Yeah, Japan for skiing.
Okay.
Oh yeah. For sure, we're going back.
Yeah, we went there last year, and it's gonna be a ritual.
Yeah, it was awesome. For sure.
That's good.
That's exciting.
Email you guys with questions on where to go in Japan because we're kind of open right now.
Yeah, we're going in November.
Oh, okay.
I don't think, I mean, we're not, he snowboards, I ski a little bit, but we're not like snow sports people.
But you guys did other stuff besides ski. So other things to visit, other places to go. We're staying in Sakai.
Oh yeah.
For sure.
Sakai.
Yeah, I went there originally in college for a judo tour. our university went and we were competing over there. So that was my first trip. And then I went back with my son and spent about 6 weeks
Mhm.
and then back with Steve. So this will be trip number 4. So
Nice.
One word, Onsens. You
yeah,
gotta go to
oh,
Onsens
the
when you're in
onsens.
Japan.
Such a great country.
I
One of
got
my
free booked.
favorites.
Pre-booked on onsen so far.
Yeah, he's got.
Ah, the onsens are to die for.
We
Yeah,
ended up
just amazing.
doing
You
a
guys are gonna have a great
home
time.
exchange. I don't know if you've ever seen like home exchange services or programs, but we were with people, it's called People Like Us. So our home, you list your home and then
Oops, I
think
didn't catch
it's-
that. Oh, you'll have to repeat that, Kendra. I didn't catch it.
Yeah, broke up.
Oops, what was that?
there you go. Did you unfreeze? Are we unfrozen? Damn it. Damn it all to hell, this internet.
Oh, I didn't
Yeah,
catch
you're all
that.
frozen. It's all gone.
Okay, how about now?
Okay, one more time.
Okay. I forgot what I was saying.
Ooh. I'm not even
Yeah,
high.
nothing.
I forgot what you're talking
Nothing
about.
coming through here.
Oh,
Except for
the home exchange. So we were part of a program where you swap homes.
Yeah.
Sean's face. Oh, nice.
Yeah,
Okay, home exchange.
home exchange. So
Oh, excellent.
yes,
Ah,
we have two
Okay, so you're
at
going
a-
to swap a home with somebody in Japan.
right. So on the one hand, it's great because it's less expensive. You don't have to pay for accommodations. On the other hand, it's limiting because you're in one
Yeah.
spot, so we're trying to make that work.
Mhm.
The train system,
Sure.
yeah.
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 Doesn't mean we can't go
Okay.
just because we're there for 2.5 weeks at this
Yep.
house. We can still take a day trip or an overnight somewhere.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
For sure.
For sure.
Oh my God, the
Yeah.
trains are
The-
phenomenal.
The trains are amazing in
Yeah,
Japan.
they're great. The Shinkansen, super
Yeah.
fast. They're great. You can go anywhere. Yeah, where's your homestay? What city?
Sakai.
Is it in Tokyo or Sakai?
No.
Where's that at?
It's very south. It's a 3 or 4 hour drive or train ride from Tokyo. It's very south.
And
Oh.
it's on Honshu. It's on the main island. What's its biggest near city? What's the biggest city it's near?
Let me look.
Kyoto, I think.
Kyoto, I believe. Yeah.
Oh,
Oh,
okay.
Kyoto.
Oh, yeah.
Kyoto's cool.
Yeah.
Osaka. It's in
Oh,
the.
great. You
Osaka.
have to
Shit,
go
that's
Osaka.
awesome over there.
Oh, yeah. Osaka's awesome.
Okay, cool. Yeah.
So then
So-
you're pretty close to Kyoto as well.
Yeah,
Yeah.
south of, yeah.
Yeah. A little bit.
Yeah,
south.
you have a lot of great things you can do from there.
Kyoto was fun.
Yeah, Kyoto and Osaka both are awesome.
Yeah, Osaka was
Super
good,
fun.
yeah.
Good.
Super fun, lots to do. So,
Awesome.
but yes, I will make some video for you and send you some pictures and give you a little boat tour and we'll make some plans.
Yeah.
Thank
Well, it
you.
was so fun to talk to you guys.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
Great chatting with you guys.
Nice to meet you, by the way.
Yeah. I can't wait to see you guys in person and hang out.
Absolutely. I think it'll be a blast and I think you'll have fun and the boat's very comfortable. So,
Yeah.
what we think it is.
That's awesome.
Yeah, for sure.
So,
Sure.
all
Okay.
right, you guys, well, take care, stay safe, and we'll chat soon.
Okay.
Thanks so much.
Bye.
Bye, guys.
Okay. All right, bye. This is the front of the boat, and it has a trampoline. That is to allow the water to splash through, keeping the boat balanced when we're in challenging waves. I'm going to walk you back. This cooler that we do use is a terrific step for those of us that are not inclined with height. Moving you to the back of the boat and into the helm. Over here in the helm is our chart plotter. Press a couple buttons here. You can see right now, this is us. This is the anchorage that we're in. We're all alone. It's not a popular anchorage. We came here because there's great mountain biking on the hills around us. This line that you see right here is the track. I routed us yesterday and made a track so that we could use the autopilot while we were moving along. You can see also any other boats in the area, if they actually are on the GPS. And if you press it, it will give you the boat name. It will also give you what type of boat it is, where it is in relationship to you. Like the nautical miles is 1.65 nautical miles, 5 nautical miles from us, and we are not on a collision course because it says that we passed. The CPA is the collision course.
It also gives its Latin long, how fast it's going, and possibly its destination. The radio's at the helm. We have to have it on at all times. That's maritime law, channel 16 for emergencies, and just like a police radio, there's a backup channel for conversation. This is our life sling. We throw it overboard in the event that somebody happens to go overboard, intentionally or unintentionally. Back here, unique to the Mediterranean, is Dyneema reels. We use these, one on each side off the back of the boat, to tie ourselves to rocks or trees in coves that are very narrow, that will keep the boat from swinging on anchor. And this morning we have a little buoy out here because Steve accidentally dropped the kitchen strainer. So we drop a buoy with a line, and that way after he's had his coffee, he can jump in and get it because he's put a placement marker. Okay, taking a look at the helm, you can see our winches, our lines that we use to manage the sails. We do have a fully enclosed helm. Right now it's open because it was sunny yesterday, but on a night passage, all of this is zipped up and to keep us safe, warm, and inside the boat. Going downstairs, this is where we keep our bikes. Nice and secured. We've been on some very rough passages and the bikes have never failed us. I'm hanging laundry this morning. We do have a washing machine on board. We do hang dry, but it does do a pretty good job with the wash. Looking back underneath this cushion is our life raft ditch bag. That's the yellow bag. In case we ever have to jump into the life raft, we will take this with us. There's a couple of weeks supply of food, water, medical equipment. We also have a Starlink Mini that we would take with us as well for communication. And of course our workout equipment. We have weights on board, TRX, tummy rollers, anything to make you miserable.
Exercise bands.
Exercise bands.
Okay. Here's the starboard side. We've got a nice little sofa, lounge area. This is a custom stand for our scooters. We like to have those when we're docked or somewhere that's close to shore and short range stuff that's a lot easier to set up other than the mountain bikes when you're just doing a short little run. The stand is built up because one, it gets it out of the way, and two, we can still use this winch when we're sailing, and so it has full access to it for there. Over here is scuba tanks, 2 here, 2 over there. That's usually enough. There's a scuba compressor in the front that has high pressure lines that come all the way back to here, and usually we fill out here on the deck. This is what we call a D-deck. This is a custom Ola special also. It replaces the standard davits that are on the typical Lagoon 450. Actually, all catamarans kind of tend to have that. I didn't really like it as it's designed because it wasn't high enough, didn't bring up the dinghy very high, and it was constantly slapping when it got wave hits. And since we're mountain bike riders, we needed a safe way to load and unload the bikes. It's also turned out to be pretty dang good for diving, since right here you just kind of you sit down right here, right there. You put your gear on, put your fins on, and then you take your step, take your one wrong step, and away you go. Off you're going to go diving. You can see that right here is just a standard little ATV winch from Warren, and that raises and lowers the deck platform up and down. It's got bearing rails right here. The dinghy moves up and down, and then in between, to raise the dinghy independently of the deck, there's a little hatch bracket right here. And as you look in here, there's where these are called flip-flop blocks. There's 4 flip-flop blocks with a clutch right here. So there's 4 lines that go and grab the dinghy to lift it up out of the water that are all independently controlled. And then they all join up to the bottom of the winch right here.
We can raise and lower that with the deck in place, and the operator is safe on the deck while the dinghy is down below it, and you can safely raise it in any kind of weather, which is the problem with a tender lift and all the other ones that go and pick up the boat or the dinghy down below underneath it. It's really challenging to do or use those type of equipment in choppy weather. And what else? It has some outriggers that come out here just for the support. We have our barbecue right here. This is a Traeger barbecue, a wood pellet. There's no more propane on. Also, we've converted the galley and the barbecue all over to electric. This takes 60 watts. And what we basically did was exchange the propane tanks for about 100 pounds of pellets that we use for it. That'll last us for about a year or two, depending. What else we got about the deck? The trash?
How it's a pain in the ass.
Okay, trash is a pain in the ass. We're constantly collecting trash here. Here in Greece, they're actually very good about allocating public trash cans, so you never have a problem with it. Sometimes it can be a problem in other countries where they, for some reason, don't really think that there should be trash bins anywhere. Out here on the edge, these are called med mooring reels. We think they're an essential part. We really have used them a lot here in the Med. It's just a Dyneema spool, flat spool that comes out. It floats on the water, which is really nice. So you don't have to worry about your prop when you're doing it. And then these guys, they also float on the water, but they're also a good signal to other boaters that we have stern lines going to shore. And they also break up the harmonics of the cable itself when the wind starts blowing. Really good setup. This is our 100 meters. We'll take one here. We take one on the opposite side, and we'll run them off to shore with chain or strap or whatever we're going to do, and we can get really close into shore and have our own little private Idaho to ourselves, a little swim area.
And taking you into the galley. Here's our galley. We have both a saltwater wash and a freshwater. We wash our dishes with saltwater first and then use freshwater for a final rinse. That saves on our water consumption. Everything in the galley is bolted down. Everything has buttons. If you do not have it that way and a wave hits you, your entire galley, everything you own in the kitchen will go flying, spilling, crashing, and an absolute, complete, total disaster. This is our carbonated bubbly water dispenser. It has a built-in refrigerator. Steve installed that, designed it and installed it. We love it. Nice cold bubbly water whenever you want it. I keep some herbs. They have a pretty tough time with the salt water. Well, I use fresh water, but the salt in the air is really difficult for them. I give them a little spritz, but I usually have to pull them and replant them every couple of months. Also in the galley, we have another helm station. We can control the boat completely from down here. Again, you have the chart plotter. You can see where we are in the anchorage. And we also have what is called an anchor alarm. We set the anchor based on our GPS, how much road we have, that's how much chain is out with the anchor where we dropped it and the depth of where we dropped it. Once we set that, if we go outside of this circle, then the anchor alarm will go off and it will wake us up. So if we drag in the middle of the night, or if we're away from the boat and the boat is dragging, it will call our phone and notify us so that we can get back and find out what the problem is. Going down from the galley, we have 4 fridges. We can change them to fridge or freezer depending on what we need. Steps, more steps, lots of steps. This is the owner's berth. This is our side. And coming across, we have cabinets going all the way across. And down to our bathroom. Our heads are saltwater. They do not have a freshwater flush, so We do have holding tanks if we're at an anchorage, and like we talked about earlier, we poo on one side, pee on the other, and when we get out to sea, we will dump the head so that we aren't pooing on top of everybody in the anchorage. So for those of you that know me, I am a bit short. So Steve built up our lower cabinets underneath our sofa so that I could actually see out of the window. That also gave advantages to more storage. Everything in this floor is storage for either food or supplies. This is our medical supply cabinet. Keep an ongoing checklist of medications and medical supplies that we need or that we have used. And we are prepared. Everything is labeled, ready to go. We do have oxygen on board. We have chest tubes. God forbid, we would never know what to do with them, but maybe somebody else in an anchorage would. We carry IV fluid, pain medications, basically any drugs that we can get our hands on for in case of an emergency. Fortunately, so far, we haven't had to use a lot of that.
Okay, moving down past the stairs. This Ola originally had 3 heads. Here's our lovely area. It's more of a storage area that we need to direly take care of. But we're not going to show that. But as I was mentioning, Ola, as an owner's suite, originally had 3 heads, 1 on our side and 2 on the guest side. And we thought that was way too much overhead for a bathroom. So what we thought was even more important, or what I thought was even more important, was I converted one of the heads into a tool room. And I think this is an absolute essential if you're going to cruise full time. It has pretty much all the tools that I had at home, plus a little bit more that are specifically for marine applications. But pretty much everything I can need to work on a boat, to do kind of almost any type of repair. There's some supplies there also. One of the things that is an Ola special too is right from the get, I got these rigid, watertight containers, cases for all of the tools, because I'd seen on all these YouTube videos about how much the rust kind of takes over the whole tool areas, and these have been lifesavers. They are great. Normally you're going to work on the boat somewhere, and you're going to be taking the tools to that location, so it makes it really nice just to grab the tool that you need and take it over. They're watertight, they float, so if I have to take them on a dinghy, helping out another sailor or whatnot, I don't worry about the tools. And when you're done, you put them away, and you know that they're not going to be rusted. Right here is our washing machine. As Karen mentioned, we have a washing machine. We don't have a dryer. We line dry everything. That seems to work out just fine. But that can hold about, I don't know how much, a couple weeks worth of clothes once we do the laundry. There are hatches everywhere. These aren't escape hatches. They're just for ventilation and basically light in the boat. Collect our little souvenirs along the way, which is really cool. We picked these up in Sarajevo, actually, from a guy who's doing nothing but copper work. And then over here, we picked these up in Cappadocia, Turkey. Kind of like him. Nice little mementos to collect along the way. And speaking on that note, right, we even have here these are ceramic tiles that we picked up in the Azores. Just little mementos that go through. The note on that is that everything here is glued onto the wall. There's no hangers that jostle or jistle, and just put a little silicone glue behind it with some tape when you first put it up, and they're good to go on a boat. Okay, as I mentioned, there were 3 heads on Ola in the beginning. Now we're down to 2. Karen showed you the master's bathroom, which is quite a bit large, very luxurious, we think, for a boat. But here's the guests, and it's not bad either. It's pretty good. It's got a full walk-in shower, adjustable, with an auto pump out. You got a pretty decent sink to work with, and then the head. As Karen mentioned, we have saltwater heads. People have changed over to freshwater, claiming that it takes down the odor, which I don't disagree, but with the size of my wife's bladder and the amount that she uses the head, we would be out of fresh water in about half a day.
And lastly, on our medical supplies, the outside of the boat, easy access, well marked. Inside we have an AED, oxygen, and an emergency first aid kit, which has quick clot, tourniquets, any trauma that we might need, and a dechoker, and glasses, because in an emergency, we've had a few. Steve and I left our glasses on the dinghy and we couldn't see a damn thing and couldn't open the boat. Also, now we keep an emergency contact on the door. In the event that someone needs to get a hold of us, we have our telephone numbers.